Everybody, and welcome to week 8 of your Energy for Life program. Again, I am Rachel Mikla, and today we are going to be talking about fueling your body around exercise to help improve your energy levels. So, again, if you want to watch this video, we're going to go through the written material of this module. Otherwise, feel free to skip this video and just read through the material on your own. So I am going to share my screen here and we are going to end up going through everything. So here we go. Screen is being shared. Fueling your body for exercise. So obviously it's very important for us to fuel our bodies efficiently and effectively when we're going to be working out. Because however our workout is going to be can be determined upon how we feel for it. And this is going to be highly individualized and depends upon the type of exercise being performed, the duration of the exercise, intensity of exercise, as well as frequency of exercise. So, of course, somebody going on like a walk is going to be different for somebody that's training for a marathon, right? So this module is going to give you general guidance on fueling around workouts. And just to make it easy, we're going to say it's for the general purpose of this module, workouts will be considered strength training for at least 30 minutes or endurance cardio training, excluding walking, for at least 60 minutes. So walking, you don't necessarily need to fuel your body beforehand, during, after, but other things when you're strength training and lifting heavy weights, or if you are going on long runs, or if you're going on hikes up mountains, some of these tips are going to be beneficial for you. So first, we're going to talk about fueling prior to activity. So it's obviously important that you fuel well before activity because you want to have endurance, you want to have the stamina in order to do your workout. And I want you to think, have you ever tried working out on an empty stomach before? And if so, how was your workout that you tried to do? Was it were you feeling like you were exhausted? Were you feeling like you couldn't maybe run as fast or hike as long or end up lifting as much weight? Because this is typical if we're not fueling ourselves efficiently. So first of all, I'm going to talk about fluid consumption prior to activity. So it's very important that we stay well hydrated for optimal performance. And again, if you need a refresher on hydration, go back to module 2, which is the hydration equation. But otherwise, for fluid consumption, we want you to have 2 to 4 milliliters per pound of body weight starting 4 hours prior to exercise. So example of this, 150-pound individual, if there's, they would need 300 to 600 milliliters of fluid, okay? So 150 times 2 to 150 times 4. And to put this into ounces, because a lot of people are like, what the heck is milliliters? What does that look like here in the United States? You're going to then equate that into ounces. So there's 30 milliliters per 1 fluid ounce. So 300 divided by 30 or 600 divided by 30, that will give 10 to 20 ounces of fluid. So making sure within those 4 hours prior to exercise, that fluid is being consumed. As I'm going to take a sip of my water. So meal consumption. Now, talking about that prior to your exercise, we want to make sure that you're having well-balanced meals, macro-balanced meals, which we've talked about before. And to minimize GI upset or gastrointestinal upset, it is best to have this large meal 3 to 5 hours prior to a workout, just because if you have a full stomach and you're eating a large meal, it could cause you to feel kind of sloshy. Or a small meal 2 to 3 hours prior. Now, snack-wise, we want to make sure that you are topping off your glycogen stores. So glycogen is what gives us power in our workouts, and glycogen, if you remember, is found from carbohydrates. So in order to top these stores off, to have more energy in our workout, to be able to work harder, work more efficiently, last longer, it is best to consume a snack 1 hour prior to the workout. And if you're working out in the morning, a lot of people are like, I don't want to eat anything prior to my workout. If you don't want to eat like a meal prior to your workout, that's okay. But at least trying to get in some type of glycogen, some type of snack, because overnight you've been fasting for this really long time. It's probably going to be very difficult for your body to be its best self in your workout if you don't top off these glycogen stores. And it can be something just as eating like a banana too. So if it's like prior to in the morning and you want to eat something small. But typically, like snacks should include mostly carbohydrates, and that's 30 to 60 grams, depending upon the intensity and duration of your workout. So you could look at like the nutrition facts panel to see how much carbohydrate is in something. And also, we want a little bit of protein to help satiate you and to also help with like muscle building too for that workout. And it's going to be beneficial probably to consider eating something that is lower in fat and lower in fiber, just because this could cause some GI upset. So examples of something that would be kind of mostly carbohydrates with a little bit of protein would be peanut butter and banana on toast, granola and berries, cheese stick and crackers. These are all types of examples. So this is fueling prior to activity. Now, what about during activity? So fueling during activity isn't necessarily needed for all workouts. However, if workouts are lasting longer than an hour, then it will be beneficial. So think marathon training or long bike rides, or if you're going on like a 5-hour hike. For this, fueling during activity fluid consumption. Now, the gold standard would be to calculate your sweat rate. However, just for the purpose of this module and to help make it a little more simple, we're just going to give you a general equation to provide general guidance. So it is those just taken on average because it doesn't take into consideration like your weight, your height, sex, type of workout, or intensity of your workout. But general rule of thumb is to consume 5 to 10 ounces of fluid every 15 to 20 minutes. So if I were to do a 60-minute bike ride, then I would want to have 20 to 40 ounces of fluid consumed during that ride. And you want to take these small sips instead of big, huge gulps so you don't get GI upset either. And if you are doing something that's a little more intense or longer in duration, water may not be enough. You may need something that has a little bit of electrolytes in it, and you could have like a sports drink. And remember, if you're exercising in higher temperatures, then your sweat rate is probably going to be increased. And the more we sweat, the more we need to replace that fluid that we've lost. So additional fluids may be necessary. Now, food consumption. What do I eat during a workout? If while you're working out, your glycogen stores, like I've said before, will become depleted. So what will help replace those glycogen stores is carbohydrates. If you've ever felt like during a workout that you've hit a wall, or people like during marathon training are like, I've hit this wall, a lot of times it's because they haven't fueled properly prior to that point. And so we want to make sure we provide ourselves with carbohydrates. And the general rule of thumb is to consume 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. And it could be beneficial to consider dividing this into 15 to 20 increments, just so it's not too much. Now, again, though, this is after the first hour. So if you're only working out for an hour, you do not need to fuel. But if you're working out for 2 hours, that second hour, we want to have you consume 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates to keep that energy up. So an example of what 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates would look like would be like a 16-ounce sport drink. Yes, it has sugar in it, but when you're doing these hard, intense workouts, sugar is quick energy, and sometimes that is what's needed. 2 ounces of raisins is another example of a medium-sized banana or a granola bar. And again, you don't need to consume this all like right away. You could eat it within small increments as the hour progresses. Other ideas, like if you're doing endurance races, like those goos or those gels, that kind of fits into this category as well. So we've talked about fueling before exercise, during exercise, and now what about afterwards? It's also important that we replenish, we replace everything that we've just lost. So exercise breaks down our muscle tissue and uses our glycogen stores for energy, and it is important to replenish these stores by refueling our bodies. So fluid consumption, it is just continue to stay well hydrated throughout the day is very important, and making sure you're drinking enough fluids. Food consumption. So it is best to eat within 1 hour of exercise afterwards, because that is when our muscle tissue is most hungry for more fuel. Okay. So we want to include carbohydrates to replenish our glycogen stores, and we also want to include protein to rebuild and repair muscle fibers that have been broken down. So how much protein should I have is what people will ask. It is best to try to consume 0.25 to 0.3 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein after exercise to optimize muscle repair. So, for an example, a 150-pound individual, we put them into kilograms. So, to put them into kilograms, we do 150 divided by 2.2, because there's 2.2 kilograms per pound. And that gives us 68.2 kilograms. Okay. So then 0.25 to 0.3 grams of 68.2 would be 17 to 21 grams of protein. So food examples of this would be 3 eggs or 3/4 cup of cottage cheese, a yogurt parfait that's made with Greek yogurt, and most protein powders. So some people would be like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to eat like a huge meal afterwards and eat 3 eggs. You don't have to eat 3 eggs. You could do 3/4 of a cup of cottage cheese or do a protein shake, but also making sure that while you're getting that protein, you're getting some type of carbohydrate as well. And know that if consuming a meal is not possible within an hour after exercise, people are busy, that's not always possible for people to do, then quick options you could have would be like a yogurt bowl, like I said, with Greek yogurt, putting in some berries, putting in some granola, a protein shake made with fresh fruit, a peanut butter sandwich, trail mix. Best to have trail mix that's just with dried fruit and nuts and seeds, instead of having, the chocolate covered candy pieces. And then also maybe a piece of fruit with some nut butter and milk. So now that we've gone through fueling before exercise, during exercise, and after exercise, that kind of is wrapping up what this module covers. Quick and easy module, quick and fast, I guess I should say. And your action step for this week is going to be to pay attention to the food you're eating before and after your workouts. And if they're long workouts, like pay attention to what you're eating beforehand or during, I mean. However, I know these Energy for Life workouts, you don't necessarily need to fuel. You don't need to fuel during them because they're not that long. But pay attention to what you're eating before and pay attention to what you're eating after, and see how you feel. Okay, like how is your body feeling if you don't really eat much of anything? And are you able to use as heavy of bands? Are you able to do as many sets, last as long? And if you do feel yourself, how do you feel with that? And then in making sure that you're including carbohydrates prior to exercise and then protein and carbohydrates after. That's going to be another action step for you to pay attention to. So pay attention, like I said, see if you notice any changes. Another change could be like, how sore are you after your workouts? Maybe you're not going to be as sore once you fuel yourself efficiently. And as always, feel free to message us with any questions, please. Like you can reach out to Kim or I during this time. And this is our 8th module for the Energy for Life program. And I know we said there are only 8 modules to begin with. However, we are having a bonus module next week. So you get a bonus next week coming on. So pay attention for that email. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.